Hi everyone, welcome to episode 44 of the podcast. This is Omo B. So for today we are going to continue with our discussions on rules of origin that I started last week. We started an analysis of the rules of origin criteria. That's the criteria to determine if a good or a product will qualify for preferential treatment under the AFCFTA. And I spoke about the only obtained criteria. I said there are two criteria that are used. That's the only obtained criteria and the substantial transformation criteria. And I also shared examples of products that are considered as only obtained in an AFCFTA state party. So, for example, live animals, vegetable, and scrap from a member state. That's a state party of the AFCFTA. Please listen to episode 43 to get more details on this. So we're going to the next criteria. That's the substantial transformation criteria. That means the goods, if it's not only obtained in an AFCFTA state party, it must have undergone substantial transformation in an AFCFTA state party. So we're going to, there are four of them that are used, so I'll just list them out. And they include the following: that's specific processes, change in tariff heading, value added, and the non-originating material content. So a product that has undergone substantial transformation is considered to be sufficiently worked or processed if it meets any of the four criteria that I stated earlier. That means it must have undergone specific processes, the change in tariff heading, and what's the value added, and of course the non-originating material content added in the product. So we are going to look at two today. We will look at specific processes and change in tariff heading. Then next week we will look at the remaining two. So let's go right into it. The specific processes criteria: a product is stated to have undergone substantial transformation if it was sufficiently worked or processed in an AFCFTA state country. So let's look at examples of product. Rough diamond. If rough diamond is imported from a party or a country that is not a member of the AFCFTA, and it is polished in a country, an AFCFTA country, let's say Kenya, after polishing, the product is said to then have undergone substantial transformation in Kenya and will qualify for preferential treatment. Let's also look at another example, maybe a carbonated drink production. The production process is sufficient work in mixing up the various materials that will be used in producing it. So that's substantial, that's transformation work, that's sufficient work or processing is done in manufacturing or in producing it. So the finished product, that's the carbonated drink, I don't know what kind of name, is said to have been sufficiently worked or processed in an AFCFTA state party and will qualify for preferential treatment. One criteria that we're looking at, which is the change in tariff heading. For those that are not aware, under international trade, there are classification for products. So there are codes that are used to identify or classify products in international trade or in exporting. So let's say, so if you are in this instance, the second criteria says change in tariff heading. For you to say that the product was not only obtained but has undergone substantial transformation in an AFCFTA state party. So an example of a product we are going to look at here is a table. So let's say the rough wood that was cut and sold was gotten from, and making the table was gotten from a country that is not an AFCFTA state party, but it was brought here into the AFCFTA state party, and it was produced or manufactured into a table, or let's say, yes, okay, since we are using table, then of course the classification is different. The classification for wood is different for classification for a table. So that means, yes, it will qualify for preferential treatment. So that is where we stop for today's podcast. One before we round up, just to clarify on the polishing of diamond is considered as a substantial work. So that's why that will qualify as sufficient processing. As usual, the podcast is for educational purposes only. You can reach out to me if you'd like to discuss more about the AFCFTA and the opportunities available for you or your business. Until next week, I say bye-bye.